Thousands of years ago, beings known as the Osiris journeyed from a distant realm to our world. They shared profound knowledge with humans, revealing secrets of the universe, imparting cultural wisdom, and teaching advanced architectural techniques. However, their gifts came with a price. The Osiris sought dominion over the earth, desiring humanity to submit to their rule. The Osiris could only return to Earth once every 5,000 years, during a rare alignment of certain stars in the sky, positioned directly above the pyramids. This alignment would emit a mystical light from the pyramids, acting as a bridge for the Osiris to enter our world. Yet as the time approached for their return, the pharaoh, with the aid of the god of light, concealed this celestial light, preventing the Osiris from coming. Outraged by the pharaoh's actions, followers of the Osiris sought revenge, attempting to eliminate him. However, the pharaoh managed to capture these followers, imprisoning them within the pyramid's depths, ensuring they would perish there. Among these loyalists to Osiris was a pregnant princess carrying a child who embodied the essence of Osiris. Some of the remaining followers smuggled the child to safety, while the princess, who perished soon after, was entombed in a sarcophagus deep within the pyramid, her legacy sealed away in mystery. Deep within the pyramid lies a secret chamber, accessible only to the descendants of Osiris. This chamber can be entered only when specific stars align in a rare celestial pattern. However, it is sealed by a unique artifact known as the Key of Heaven, a key hidden away centuries ago and believed to be lost forever. Thousands of years pass, and the story shifts to the present day, where a group of archaeologists is conducting research near the pyramid. Among them is Professor Hayden, a historian with extensive knowledge of ancient legends, who is determined to locate the Key of Heaven at any cost. During his work, Hayden receives a phone call, and while he is distracted, a man quietly slips away with his walking stick. This man delivers the stick to an associate named Peter, who takes it to an old, mysterious shop. There, he offers the shopkeeper a significant amount of money in exchange for the Key of Heaven. The shopkeeper retrieves the fabled key from a hidden compartment, handing it over to Peter. But Peter, who now possesses Professor Hayden's stick, revealed to be a powerful weapon, uses it to kill the shopkeeper before leaving the shop, the Key of Heaven finally in his grasp. Sometime later, Professor Hayden arrives at the shop and discovers that the shopkeeper has been murdered. Before he can process what happened, his phone rings. It's Peter. With a mocking tone, Peter reveals that he was the one who killed the shopkeeper, using Hayden's own stick, which now has Hayden's fingerprints all over it. Peter warns him that if he doesn't want the police to know, he'll have to let Peter join him on his mission. Reluctantly, Professor Hayden agrees to Peter's demand. Needing guidance, Professor Hayden visits a woman who has psychic abilities and can see glimpses of the future. He asks her if he will succeed in completing his mission. The psychic, looking into her visions, assures him that he will indeed complete what he set out to do. However, she also sees a disturbing image. The ancient followers of Osiris, long thought to be dead, are awakening. In her vision, she sees Professor Hayden injured, but she decides to keep this part to herself, leaving Hayden unaware of the dangers awaiting him. The next day, Professor Hayden visits a fellow archaeologist who is also a close friend. When he arrives, he finds the archaeologist's assistant Adler there as well. His friend eagerly shares the news that a powerful storm swept through the area the previous night, and in its aftermath, the pyramid mysteriously emerged into full view, seemingly on its own. Upon hearing this, Professor Hayden is thrilled and immediately expresses his desire to explore the inside of the pyramid. He insists, "Find me a way in. I have to go inside." This timing is crucial, as the stars are soon to align in the same rare pattern that, according to legend, allows the Osiris to return to Earth through the pyramid. Hayden's friend understands the urgency and is determined to help him enter the pyramid at any cost. However, while he's working on it, his health suddenly takes a turn for the worse. Adler notices his friend's worsening condition and takes him home to rest. But by the next morning, his health has deteriorated further. Weak and struggling, he tells Adler, "I'm not well enough to go on this mission. My health is failing me. You've been by my side for the past 4 years. You know every part of this work. I need you to go in my place." Adler agrees to take on the mission, honoring his mentor's request and prepared to face whatever lies ahead in the mysterious pyramid. We then meet Professor Hayden's daughter, who has arrived from London to join the mission. She has her own personal reasons for being part of this quest. Shortly after she arrives, Adler approaches her to explain that the archaeologist's health has taken a serious turn for the worse, which is why he won't be able to participate. Adler adds that he plans to take his place on the mission. However, Hayden's daughter is unimpressed. She bluntly tells Adler, "We don't need people with just general knowledge. We need true experts. You're of no use to us, Adler." Her words hit hard, and Adler, feeling hurt and insulted, leaves in frustration. Afterwards, she informs her father, Professor Hayden, about the situation, explaining that the archaeologist is too unwell to join and that she turned away his assistant. Professor Hayden looks at her with disappointment, saying, "You made a big mistake. We need him and you should apologize." Reluctantly, and against her own feelings, she reaches out to Adler, apologizing for her behavior and inviting him to join the mission. Adler accepts her apology and the entire team finally assembles, each one prepared to enter the pyramid. Among them is a man from India with the unique skill of identifying ancient artifacts, a valuable addition for navigating the mysteries that await inside the pyramid. Today is the day when the stars will align in that rare formation, one that, according to legend, allowed Osiris to come to Earth. The team gathers at the entrance of the pyramid, filled with a mix of excitement and apprehension. As they stand before the ancient gate, Adler points out an inscription etched into the stone, a warning that whoever enters may never return. It states that only descendants of Osiris can pass safely, but Professor Hayden brushes it off, not believing in such myths. Determined to press forward, they force an opening in the pyramid's outer structure. Stepping inside, they soon come across another solid wall. This wall has been sealed from the inside, as if those who built it had locked themselves in, intending never to leave. Breaking through this barrier, the group ventures deeper, accompanied by a small team of soldiers assigned to protect them. Once inside, they find themselves in a dimly lit chamber. In the center of the room, a small golden statue glimmers under the light of their torches, drawing everyone's attention. One of Professor Hayden's companions, unable to resist, reaches out and lifts the statue. Instantly, there's a rumbling sound as a massive stone slab begins to descend from the ceiling. The team scrambles in panic, but one soldier isn't quick enough and is crushed beneath the stone, losing his life in the trap. Realizing the danger, they place the statue back, causing the stone to rise back into place. The psychic who had foreseen Hayden's future is also with them, and she looks around the chamber, visibly terrified. The psychic, overwhelmed with fear, urges the group to turn back, warning that they should leave before it's too late. But Professor Hayden shakes his head gravely, pointing out that the entrance has been sealed behind them. They have no choice now but to keep moving forward. Reluctantly, the group agrees and proceeds deeper into the pyramid. As they walk, the expert from India, who has an eye for ancient symbols and patterns, notices something unusual about the floor tiles. There is a strange sequence to them, almost like a hidden code. Realizing this may be a trap, he carefully steps onto one of the tiles, testing his theory. Suddenly, a massive stone crashes down from above, but he had anticipated the trap and narrowly avoids being crushed. He explains to the group that they must step only on specific tiles to avoid triggering the deadly traps. With Adler's help, he begins to study the pattern on the floor, calculating each step with precision. Together, they guide the team through the treacherous path, making sure everyone crosses safely to the other side. At last, they arrive at a large stone slab embedded in the wall, inscribed with symbols in an ancient language. Working together, the expert and Adler slowly decipher the text, realizing it contains a riddle. It hints that there is a hidden passage beneath them. With effort, they lift the stone, revealing a narrow staircase descending into the darkness below. One by one, they carefully descend the stairs, finding themselves in a dimly lit chamber. At the center of the room rests an ornate coffin. Hayden's companion realizes this is no ordinary sarcophagus. This is the resting place of the princess who once carried the bloodline of Osiris. Determined to uncover the secrets buried within the pyramid, Professor Hayden insists on opening the coffin, despite the warnings and protests from the others. Ignoring their pleas, he forces open the lid. Inside lies the ancient, mummified remains of the princess, the very one who had once carried Osiris's lineage. To everyone's shock, Hayden unceremoniously lifts the mummy and sets it aside, tossing it onto the ground. The group gasps in disbelief at his callousness. Unfazed by their reactions, Hayden declares, "I didn't come here for relics. I came to find the Temple of Osiris. It's located somewhere below this chamber." At that moment, the man holding the key of heaven steps forward and hands the key to Professor Hayden. They realize that the door to descend further lies right where the coffin had rested, concealed beneath it for centuries. Professor Hayden inserts the key of heaven into the slot on the ancient door, unlocking it and revealing a hidden passage that leads further down. The team cautiously moves into the depths of the pyramid, each step taking them closer to the fabled temple. As they descend into the lower level, one of Hayden's companions, the same man who had lifted the golden statue earlier, accidentally steps on a loose stone. Without warning, massive stones begin to drop from above, crashing down and forcing the group to scatter for safety. In the chaos, they are divided into three separate groups. The Indian expert expert, along with several soldiers, finds himself cut off from the others in one group. As they cautiously press forward in the darkness, something mysterious seems to move around them, unseen. Suddenly, one of the soldiers is struck by an unseen force, causing him to stumble and fall to his death. Meanwhile, Adler, along with Professor Hayden's daughter and the psychic, discovers a hidden passage that offers a potential escape route. The three of them cautiously follow the path, eventually arriving at the spot where a soldier recently met his tragic end. Soon, the rest of the team joins them, and together they press forward. Their journey brings them to a chilling sight, a chamber filled with rows of mummies, the long-deceased followers of Osiris, who had been imprisoned and left to die in this ancient tomb. The air grows tense as they absorb the eerie atmosphere. The psychic, sensing something ominous, recalls an ancient prophecy. When the stars align in perfect formation and the blood of Osiris's descendant touches the temple floor, she warns, these mummified followers will rise again, bringing ruin upon the world. Fear grips the group as they realize the potential danger surrounding them. Suddenly, one of the mummies stirs and springs to life, lunging toward Professor Hayden's daughter. Adler reacts instantly, rushing to protect her. He manages to pull her away from the creature, but now the awakened mummy turns its attention toward him, pursuing him relentlessly. Despite the group's attempts to fend it off with gunfire, the bullets have no effect on the undead creature, which continues its terrifying advance. In a moment of desperation, Sarah spots a hidden button on the wall. She quickly presses it, and a large stone slab begins to rise, revealing a hidden pathway. The team rushes through the opening, narrowly escaping as the stone descends again, sealing the creature behind them. Relieved but wary, the group regains their composure as they find themselves standing at the entrance to the legendary Temple of Osiris, the ultimate destination of their perilous journey. Professor Hayden instructs Adler to open the massive door before them. Cautiously, Adler reads the ancient inscription on its surface. Only descendants of Osiris may enter. Anyone else attempting to cross the threshold would trigger the collapse of the entire structure. Turning to his daughter, Professor Hayden reveals a long-kept secret. Her mother was a descendant of Osiris, which makes her part of the Osiris bloodline. He tells her that she must enter the temple, but seeing her hesitation, he forces her forward at gunpoint. Reluctantly, she approaches the door, which immediately begins to glow in response to her presence. Moments later, the door opens and they step inside. Inside the temple, they are surrounded by enormous ancient machines, filling the vast chamber with an eerie yet powerful aura. Professor Hayden, overwhelmed with excitement, explains to the others that the stars have finally aligned, and now the moment has come. His plan is clear. He intends to spill his daughter's blood on the temple floor, activating the ancient prophecy. Her Osiris lineage will awaken the mummified followers, who will rise and unleash destruction upon the world. When Osiris returns, Hayden believes he will be granted the status of a god, as legend says that whoever calls Osiris back to Earth is rewarded with divine power. In this tense moment, Professor Hayden's daughter, struggling against her bonds, asks him who killed her mother. With cold detachment, Professor Hayden confesses, "Your mother discovered my intentions. I had no choice but to silence her." Shocked and devastated by the truth, his daughter is heartbroken, realizing her own father took her mother's life. But she is helpless, restrained by one of Hayden's men. As Adler moves to intervene, the guard raises his gun and fires. But in a courageous act, the Indian scholar steps in front of Adler, sacrificing his own life to save him. With ruthless determination, Professor Hayden proceeds with his plan, spilling his daughter's blood onto the temple floor. Instantly, the entire chamber comes alive, radiating a blinding light that spreads throughout the room, illuminating the rows of mummies as they begin to stir and rise. Hayden, consumed by ambition, falls to his knees in reverent prayer, calling forth Osiris to fulfill his dream of godhood. Amid the chaos, Adler breaks free, taking down Hayden's guard and freeing the professor's daughter. Seizing her chance, she grabs a gun from Adler and, without hesitation, turns it on her father. The gunshot echoes through the temple, and Professor Hayden falls, bringing an end to his dark ambition. With his death, the ritual halts, and the entire pyramid begins to tremble and shake as the structure starts collapsing from within. The three of them, Adler, Hayden's daughter, and the psychic, rush to escape, running through the crumbling corridors. They manage to reach the exit just as the ancient temple collapses behind them. Outside, the archaeologist is waiting anxiously and, seeing them emerge, expresses his regret. "I had no idea Professor Hayden's true intentions. Had I known, I would never have supported him." With that, the story draws to a close. We hope you enjoyed this tale of ancient secrets, betrayal, and redemption.